In this video, I'm going to be going over the top 10 must-have budget cards right now in Season 8 in NBA 2K23 Myteam. As you guys most likely know, Season 8 has completely crashed the market where there's a lot of cards that have now became budget prices that are amazing that used to go for like 50 to 100,000 MT only a couple weeks ago. So I just wanted to get you guys an updated top 10 must-have budget cards in season number 8. Not going to be necessarily the top 10 budget cards because I want to have some certain cards specifically in this top 10 that are like good for their position and really good for their price. So there's going to be a lot of great budget cards that I'm not including in this top 10, but doesn't mean it's a top 10 list, and it's not necessarily going to be ranked in order. Just like the 10 top budget cards, I feel like you guys should have different positions, different price points. So at number 10, not actually ranked in order, but the first card I want to talk about is going to be Galaxy Opal Marc Gasol. Now, I don't think he's a top 10 budget card, might not even be top 15 or top 20 because of how many great budget cards we have. But one thing we don't have is tons of budget centers and budget power forwards, a bunch of big bodies, you know, for a budget price tag. And that's why I think Marc Gasol is still in a top 10 must-have budget card list, because he's 7'1" at power forward, 7'4" wingspan. He's got the size to be an elite level power forward. He's got a great player model. He's a great defender, 92 block, 92 perimeter, 98 interior defense, and he can also space out the floor with a really good jump shot, where he can knock down threes, can create his own shot, drive to the basket. And yeah, I think Marc Gasol for the power forward position is going to be a must-have budget card. Now looking at the next budget card here is going to be Galaxy Opal Big Z, and the reason why he's in here, because I'm not even sure if he's a top 10 budget card, is mainly due to his size. He's 7'3" at the small forward position, 7'6" wingspan. But like I've always said about Big Z, he opens up the doors and the possibilities to running so many different lineups in the game when you're running a budget squad, because like I was talking about with Marc Gasol, there's not too many great budget power forwards or centers in the game. So if you want to run Big Z at small forward, you can maybe run a little bit more undersized of a power forward because there's not too many great budget power forwards in the game. So you can run like a Jarris Walker at power forward, you can run a Jonathan Isaac at power forward, you can run these different small forwards at the power forward position, and that would be a little bit undersized because then you can switch the matchups in game. So Big Z would be guarding the power forward or the center, which is really valuable to have on a budget lineup where there's not too many, you know, taller budget cards in the game. So that's why I think Big Z always a must-have budget card until we get some better options that are 10 to 15k that are 7'4" tall. Like if Mark Eden and Ralph Sampson were 15 or 20k, then I don't think Big Z would be as, you know, as much of a value card and, you know, that much of a must-have, because there would already be so many good options at center and power forward, you know, for a budget team. But I think since we don't have that, we don't really have any cheap centers, I think Big Z gonna have to be a top 10 budget card that I do think people should have in season 8 if you're trying to build a budget lineup. Karl Malone, kind of similar situation. He's just really cheap and I think still a great small forward. Not the biggest fan of Karl Malone as a person, but I think his card they made really good on his dark matter. 6'9" at the small forward position, 7' wingspan. He's a great defender. He's cheap, right? He's only like 7, 8, 9, 10,000 MT, somewhere in that price range. He's got a good jump shot, and if you're looking for a cheap small forward, you can't get really too much better than Karl Malone. Now, Sabonis, I also wanted to talk about, very similar situation to Big Z and a card like Marc Gasol. I don't think Sabonis is anywhere near a top 10 budget card, but the fact that he's 7'3" at center, 7'6" wingspan, and he's actually one of the only few actual centers that are a budget price. Like there's Kristaps Porzingis we'll talk about here in a second, but besides him and Sabonis, there's really not many other budget options, you know, at that center position. So he's going to bring that size. If you guys are starting off with a really cheap team, you want a starter squad and you need yourself a budget center, Sabonis is kind of the only card you can go to who's going to have enough size and enough, you know, height and wingspan to be able to guard those taller centers in the game. So I do think for a budget player, Sabonis is going to be a top 10 must-have budget card currently in season number 8. Now, talking about Kevin Garnett, this is where we start going into more of the actually top tier budget cards, but I do think are still must-haves, because when we're talking about the small forward position, there's not too many great budget small forwards in the game. There's tons of like lower level budget cards, but you know, there's Big Z we talked about, there's Jarris Walker, you know, AK-47, Josh Smith, some other small forwards in there as well. But to have Kevin Garnett, who's 6'11" at the 3, 7'2" wingspan, a great player model, is going to bring a lot of value to a budget team, right? A great defender, he's strong, he's athletic, he's quick, he's got a great jump shot. And I do think for a lot of budget teams, he's kind of like a must-have small forward, in that squad. Next must-have budget card is going to be Amen Thompson, a guy that you really need at the point guard spot. 6'7" at the point guard position, 7-foot wingspan. And I feel like for a bunch of people's starter squads or just really cheap budget teams, Amen Thompson is probably one of the first point guards you should go out and look to pick up because he's going to be super cheap. Once again, you could probably find him for like 10k, but I'd say like more 15,000 MT on average, and he's just going to be a great all-around point guard card. He can defend the ball really well, especially on the perimeter. He's quick, he's great at getting to the basket, he's got perfect defensive tendencies, a top-tier jump shot with the D Rose base, Steph Curry upper, on very quick timing, and then he's also got amazing dribble sigs and those endgame dunk packages where he's going to be amazing at finishing at the rim and gets a lot of contact dunks. So Amen Thompson, really good for his price tag, and I do think it's going to be a top 10 must-have budget card currently in the game. Now, next budget card here is going to be Kristaps. Like I said when I was talking about Sabonis, these are like the two actually only primary centers. I know Kristaps can play power forward, and that's a really nice thing about this card as well, that KP can play the power forward position if you need him to. He's 7'3" with a 7'6" wingspan, so just like Sabonis, able to somewhat guard the Yao Mings of the world, the Manute Bols, the Rick Smiths, the Mark Edens, the Taco Falls, the Victor Wembanyama's, somewhat able to stay in front of those cards and especially defend them down low. And Kristaps actually gives you a lot more speed, a lot more athleticism, and a way better jump shot in my opinion compared to a card like Sabonis. It's just I kind of wanted to include both of them because if you're looking for a backup center and you have Kristaps starting, you're going to need a backup 5, and that's where I think Sabonis comes into play. But yeah, Kristaps, a really good offensive center card who can also play power forward. Next must-have budget card is going to be Tim Thomas. And I think Tim Thomas and Tracy McGrady, very similar cards. I mean, this Dark Matter T-Mac card has now gone down to I think like 15 to 20k because of those T-Mac takeover cards or T-Mac takeover packs that you can get this card for completely free, and a lot of people panic sold their T-Max, so you can get this card for super cheap. And he's still going to be a really good offensive shooting guard, 6'8" at the 2, 7'2" wingspan, has a really good jump shot, the KPJ base, Oscar upper, on quick timing, still one of the easier jump shots to green in the game, and also very solid dribble sigs. And then you also do have Tim Thomas, a 6'10" 2 guard, 7'2" wingspan. He's super fast with the ball in his hands, like he moves like a 6'2" guard. That's how fast he feels. And then he's also got a really good 3-hunting jump shot with the LaMelo Ball base, Trae Young upper, on very quick timing, is really good for shooting off the dribble. And then he's also a pretty solid defender with his tendencies, stats, and badges, and also the fact that he's 6'10" at that shooting guard position. But then I would say this wasn't really ranked in order, but the must-have budget card who actually recently just became a budget card is actually the Dark Matter Nikola Jokic. He was always 40-50k, and before the season 8 came out, he was always like closer to 100,000 MT. But I'm looking on Xbox right now, I'm seeing multiple Nikola Jokic's for under 25,000 MT, which is insanely good value for a 6'11" point guard, 7'3" wingspan, and a point guard that's got one of the better player models in the game and still a top tier jump shot. So if you guys were to get one budget card from this top 10, I would probably recommend Jokic. He's a point guard that can compete and is one of the best point guards in the game. So for a budget price tag, you can't get really much better than that. But let me know in the comment section down below some other must-have budget cards you guys feel like could be in this top 10. There's obviously so many more to choose from. These aren't the only good, budget options in the game. There's tons and tons and tons more. These are just, in my opinion, the top 10 must-have budget cards currently in Season 8. But let me know in the comment section down below what you guys have changed and some other great budget cards, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.